All right, let's start. Okay, so if you can, hold on, let me pull up the PDF first. Okay. All right, I'm going to share my screen now. If you can see the screen, say yes. If you cannot, say no in the chat. Yes, okay, very good. So today is going to be the fourth lesson on factoring and polynomials. And we're just going to combine this unit with quadratics. So we're going to learn how to solve quadratics. Last time I talked a little bit about quadratics and how to solve them using factoring, right? And I forgot to put the homework for last week. So this week's homework, I'll just combine what we learned today and factoring too. Okay, so today's schedule, first we're going to go over some review problems. We're just going to have like about 5 review problems just to make up for the homework. And also we are going to review what we learned last time about factoring by and solving by factoring. And then we'll learn a new method to solve a quadratic using the quadratic formula. Okay, and then finally, of course, we have practice problems. All right, so let's start with this first one. This shouldn't take too hard. It's pretty easy to factor. And just solve this and put your answer in the chat, and then we can talk about it. All right, do we have any answers? Let's see. Do we have any volunteers that can help us to solve this problem? All right. Let's see. How about William? Would you like to go first?
Okay.
All right. So let's solve this together, right? So you need to make sure when you solve a quadratic equation, you need to make sure it's set to 0, right? So let's just set that to 0 first. So move everything to the other side. All right. That's the first step. Okay. Very important. It's not in that format, then you cannot solve it properly. Because then we can't use the zero product property, right? Okay, so William, could you help us factor this?
Okay. So basically we just use the factors 1, and then we just do n plus n plus 3 times n plus 5
Very good.
is
And
equal
then
to 0. So n could be -3 or -5.
okay, so basically what we get is here is that n plus 3 equals 0, or or n plus 5 is equal to 0. All right, and n is equal to -3 and -5. Okay, very good, William. All right, so we know that there are two solutions, right? There are always two solutions because of this quadratic, okay? So let's move on to the second problem. Okay, so let's try to go a little bit faster, right? Let's try to go a little bit faster. So I'm just gonna call up some people to see if they can do it. All right, so let's see. Uh, let's find Kaylee. Do you want to do it?
Sure.
Okay, so just like the last problem, right? We need to move the thing to the other side. All right, so let's make it set the equal to 0, right? Before you even start solving. All right, so the real thing here is just minus 12 equals to 0. All right, so then we have it, right?
Yeah.
So now we just need to factor it, right? So how do we factor this? Could you factor this for us?
Is it r minus 3 is equal multiplied by 3r plus 4?
All right, so r minus 3, right? R minus 3, did you say r minus 3?
Yeah, and 3r minus 4.
All right, so those are the factors. Let me check them real quick. If you multiply them together, -4 minus 9 is not going to be equal to -16.
Um, oh, then would it be, instead, would it be,
How about let's try 2 and 6? Maybe we'll have better results. All right, let's try 2 and 6. Okay, so yeah, I think so. If we do this here, 2 and 6 here, okay, it works now. Now it works. So it's -18 plus 2 equals to -16. All right, so do you understand where you made your mistake, Kaylee?
yeah.
All right, so it's, I know, hold up. I need to switch this around a little bit. Um, so the factors of 3 and then factors of 12 are going to be -6 and 2. All right, so that's how it's supposed to look. So you need to switch up these factors too. Okay, 3r plus 2. Okay, now I think this is correct. All right, so let's check. So we have 3r squared minus 18r plus 2r. Yep. Okay, it works. All right, now that we've gone through the hardest part, which is really just factoring, right? So make sure you know how to factor. Okay, Kaylee, what is our next step?
R minus 6 is equal to 0, or 3r plus 2 is equal to 0.
So then r equals 6 and
Would it be 2/3?
negative 2/3. All right, very good, Kaylee. So remember to move the 2 to the other side, it turns into negative, okay? Then you divide by 3, so it's negative 2/3. Okay, remember if you plug 2/3 in for r, it must equal to 0, right? So you can check your work, all right? So it's very nice when you have equations you can just check it.
Wait, why is it 2/3? Negative 2/3. Like, where did it come from?
You have, okay, so what we do here is, let me just write an extra step, okay? So you get r minus 6 is equal to 0, or 3r plus 2r.
I get it. So the r minus 6 equal to 0. So 3r plus 2 has to equal to negative 2/3. I get it.
Yep. Okay, very good. Now, this is the next problem, okay? Hugo, would you like to try this?
I'll try.
Alright, very good.
Okay, so you have to make the other side of the equal sign 0. So 35k squared minus 22k.
That's 3, right?
Yeah, equals 0.
Okay.
And then you can't factor k out. So you draw an x.
Alright,
Then
so let's list factors first, right? So what factors might work? Now let's list factors of 3. It's 1 and 3, right? 1 and 3.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then they try 5 and 7.
Okay.
And I think
What?
that works. I think
Yeah.
that might work.
Oh no, it does work. It does work. Wait, does it? 7.
It does work.
It works.
Yep. Alright. Very good. So basically our factors are 5k minus 1 and 7k minus 3. Alright?
Yeah. Equals 0. So k equals to. So let's say a 5k minus 1 equals 0. So k equals to 1/5.
Very good.
And the other solution is k equals to I don't know.
Alright, so let's move the 3 to the other side. Alright. Then it's gonna be equal to 3/7 if you divide by 7. Okay, so
Oh
it's
yeah.
3/7. Alright, very good job, Hugo. Okay. Let's try someone else now. Alright. So our fourth problem, let's see. Let's see who's here. Ethan, would you like to help?
Okay.
Alright, so what do we do first? It's already set to 0, right? So we can just get right into factoring. So what common factor can we factor out from both of these terms right here?
X.
Very good. So let's factor in x and what's inside the parentheses.
7x plus 2.
Nice. Okay. And now we use the zero product property, right? Now we'll review that later. Okay, so then we get x is equal to 0. X is equal to 0. or 7x plus 2 is equal to 0. And we don't need to elaborate further on x is equal to 0 because we already know what x is. So let's just solve this, the second one, and we are going to get negative 2/7 for this one. Okay, and then our two answers are 0 and negative 2/7. That's just a set of our answers. Okay. Very good. Very good, Ethan. Okay. So let's go on to the last problem. And I'm going to take volunteers for this one. All right. Who wants to volunteer? All right. William, do you have your hand up? Do you want to volunteer?
Yes, please.
All right. Very good. So let's just move this to the other side first. Okay. So
So-
8x squared plus 59x plus 21. All right. Continue.
So the factors could of A could be 4 and 2.
Good.
Yeah, and the factors of 21 are 7 and 3.
Does it work?
No, it doesn't work. So might have to be
All right. So this is if so usually what you try, right? You try factors that are really close to each other. But since 59 is so big, it's bigger than 21 and 8. Let's try like more lopsided factors. For example, 8. Now this works, right? 56
Yeah.
plus 3 is equal to 59. All right, so you just got to keep trying, all right? Usually the
Okay.
first time it works, but you just have to switch things up, all right? So
Okay.
what are the factors?
So it is x plus 7 times 8x plus 3.
All right, very good. And from this, we can get two equations. X plus 7 is equal to 0. 8x plus 3 is going to be equal to 0. So then what does x equal?
So x equals to negative 7 or negative 3/8.
Great job. All right, good job, William. Okay, so those are all our review problems. So I hope you guys know how to factor now, and based on all the volunteers and the people that answer, I know that you guys are pretty good at factoring these kind of more complex equations now. Okay, so very good, very good. So let's look at some review. Okay, so let's review a little bit of stuff. Okay, so of course I'm gonna go back to quadratics. All right, so this form will be very important later on when we learn about the quadratic formula. And today is definitely a good day to take notes, all right? So when we start learning about the quadratic formula, all right, it's very important formula. And I'll prove it next class probably. Or not really prove it, just show why it works, okay? But the definition of a quadratic is the equation arranged in standard form a, b, and c, all right, where x is the unknown and a, b, c are real numbers. All right, this is important later on, okay, because we're the quadratic formula is like written in terms of x and then a, b, and c. Okay, so remember, a is the coefficient of x squared, b is coefficient of x, and c is just a constant. All right, so for example, we have 3x squared plus 7x minus 2. All right, that can be a quadratic equation, but actually not yet. This is a quadratic expression, but a quadratic equation has to be equal to 0. So this is very important because it always has to be equal to 0 before you can solve. And that leads us to our next slide. All right, you have to use the zero product property to solve if you want to solve by factoring. Okay, so let's say you have acx squared plus ad plus bcx, and then bd. All right, so I'm pretty sure we have seen this form before. All right, it's basically ax plus b times cx plus d, right? Let's just set this to equal, set this to equal 0. All right, so let's say that is part of your quadratic equation. All right, so then big A is going to be equal to AC, B is going to be equal to AD plus BC, and then of course C is going to be equal to BD. All right, and you factor, right? We factor this when we talked about factoring complex things, complex expressions, then we use this. So basically, I'm just using this for example. So when you factor all of it, you get two factors. Then the zero product property states that if A times B is going to be equal to 0, there are three things, all right? Either A is equal to 0, or B is equal to 0, or A and B are equal to 0. Okay? So, so you get like two solutions, right? Because you have two factors. So either an ax plus b could be equal to 0, or cx plus d equal to 0. And then you just get two equations out of it, right? Ax plus b equals to 0. So therefore the solution is negative b over a. And then next one you get cx plus d equals 0. Then solution is negative d over c. All right, then you get two solutions, right? So make sure that you always have two solutions for your quadratic equations. Okay, so that's basically zero product property. It's pretty common sense, right? But even though you don't, even if you haven't learned the name of this thing, it's pretty common sense to actually multiply something by 0. It's going to be equal to 0, right? And then if we solve by factoring, then that's what I showed here, right? So we don't really need to go over the next slide, but you factor, basically if you factor and you get things to multiply, then you can use the zero product property. The importance of factoring is that you're going to get like all these terms that are adding up to each other to be multiplied, and that's good because then you can use the property, okay? Because it only works when a times b is equal to 0, not a plus b is 0. Okay, so that's about it for solving with factoring. So I'm just going to go over another method to solve quadratics. Okay, so so for quadratics, not only do you use factoring, you can also use the quadratic formula. Okay, and this is when you can't factor, right? For example, if you have something like this, x squared minus 2x minus 3. This is equal to x minus 3, x plus 1. This can be factored. And if you equal to 0, then x equals 3, x equal to negative 1. But what if you have something like x squared minus 2x minus 2? You cannot factor this. This is not factorable, obviously. Right? So it's not factorable. Then what can you do? You have to use another method called the quadratic formula. All right? And this is the quadratic formula. Negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a, all right? And that is the quadratic formula. So I'm going to give everybody a moment here, all right? Get a scrap piece of paper or a notebook, preferably a notebook, and write this formula down. This is very important, all right? Very important formula. Okay, so everybody write this down. You will use this formula a lot, so take notes on it, okay? So negative b is if you go back to like the form of a quadratic expression, see these b, a, and c, right? These all denote like the real numbers, right? Coefficient of x squared, coefficient of x, the constant. All right, remember you know those. Okay, okay. You can even like list the a, b, and c out. All right, if it makes it easier, go for it. Okay, so you know what? Let's test this with an example. Okay, let's test with an example. All right, so let's just use this. Now we already know the solutions, right? We already know the solutions. Okay, we already know the solutions. It's going to be 3 and -1, and 3 and -1. Okay, so then we are going to use the quadratic formula to solve it and see if we get the same thing. But before that, I'm going to ask a quick question. All right, so let's see. All right, so if you know the answer, answer in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and say so. So what is the importance of having plus or minus here? Or does anybody know why we have a plus or minus? Does anybody know? Let's see here. How about William? Could you answer this question? Why do we have a plus or minus here?
I'm not really sure.
All right, so here's the answer. Quadratics are supposed to have two solutions, right? If you only have negative b plus whatever, then you only have one solution, all right? If you only have negative b minus blah, 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 then you only have one solution. So that's why we have plus minus, that makes it two solutions, all right? So make sure you get two solutions. Okay, so don't forget the plus minus. All right, so now let's solve, all right? So while we're at it, William, what is the a, b, and c term of x squared minus 2x minus 3, right? What are the a, b, and c terms?
So A is 1, B is -2, and C is -3.
All right, great. So could you fill in this formula for me?
It will become 2 plus the square, 2 plus minus the square, 4 minus, plus 12 over 2.
Great. So now let's solve. Let's see. 2 plus or minus square root of 16. Square root of 16 is just going to be equal to 4. And if you divide, it's just going to be 1 plus or minus 3. Or not 3. 1 plus or minus 2. And if you see, what is 1 plus 2? It's going to be 3, right? It's going to be 3. X is going to be 3. And then what is 1 minus 2? It's going to be -1, right? So then you get a great solution here. Same solution, different method. All right. So let's see. How you guys try a couple of practice problems? All right, let's try a couple of practice problems. All right, so I'll give you like 5 minutes to try and solve this. All right. Remember, always try to use factoring first. All right. Factoring, I'd say, it's the fastest method. I definitely use factoring first. But if you can't use factoring, that's when you have to use like quadratic formula, right? So usually quadratic formula is pretty slow. I would not recommend it. But you have to when you can't factor.
Oops.
Are there any answers? Let's see. All right, and yes, Elaine, it does depend on the problem to use which way of solving. Okay, so if it's easier to use factoring, go for it. Always use factoring if you can, all right, because it's easier. All right, it's easier to use it. But if you want to use quadratic formula, you can do that too. It's sometimes nice to check your answer. Okay, so sometimes nice to do that. So for this one, let's just try using quadratic formula. Okay, so let's just move this to the other side. Okay, and I think we maybe could have factored this. I don't know if we can factor this, but it's fine if we can't. So let's just use the quadratic formula. So it's negative 8 plus minus the square root of 64 minus 48 over 8. Okay, so 64 minus 8, I think that's 16, right? So it's going to be a negative 8 plus minus 4 over 8. It's going to be equal to -4 plus minus 1/2, right? I think. Is that true? Wait, hold up. Let's see what everybody had. All right, yeah, probably incorrect. So, let me, oh wait, it's 1. 1 plus minus, yeah. Okay, it's going to be 1 plus minus, -1 plus minus 1/2. So it's going to be b is going to be equal to -3 halves, or it's going to be equal to -1/2. Okay, so that's how you use quadratic formula to solve. All right, so quite easy, right? Quite easy. So, and let's try this next problem. All right, so if you can use factoring, you can. By all means, go for it. But if you cannot use factoring, then it's best to use quadratic formula, or well, until I've taught you another method called completing the square, but that's another method. Okay, so we're not going to learn about that yet. All right, so for now, just try to use quadratic formula and just try to remember it. All right, a little bit, you know. All right, let's try to solve this one. Okay. So we have some answers. Let's see. So of course we gotta move this to the other side first. Okay, so then our answer is gonna be negative b, right? So 7 plus minus the square root of 49 plus gonna be plus 24, I think. Plus 24. That might be incorrect because it's minus and AC is gonna be, yeah, I think it's plus 24.
Shouldn't it be minus 24?
No, but because it's negative 3 times 2. So it's going to be negative 6, right? So then it's going to be minus negative 24.
Oh, okay.
But then we have this ugly number. Okay, this is bad. But anyways, let's just go on with this. So 7 plus minus the square root of 73. And I don't think we can do anything with that. So that's going to be our answer. We're just going to keep it that way because that's the most simplified. All right, so if you cannot simplify, that's going to be the most simplified I can get. All right. It's going to be the most simplified I can get. Okay. All right. So let's solve this problem. Okay. So let's just move everything to the other side. So 4k squared. All right. And then the negative 2k cancel out. All right. So then it's going to be negative 25 minus 25. I'm pretty sure that's about it. And you actually don't need to use the quadratic formula right now. Because what is this? This difference of squares, right? It's going to be 2k plus 5, 2k minus 5 is equal to 0, right? So then you get k is equal to negative 5 over 2, and then 5 over 2. Okay, so that's it, I think, for this last problem. All right. Okay. I think we end a little bit early. That's fine. It's only 10 minutes. Okay, so I'll post the homework soon, and then that's about it for this week. Okay, so thank you everybody for coming. I'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.